Hey guys, welcome to SFBN. I am your host, Nicki Jones, and you guys are watching In the Paint. This show is basically dedicated to high school girls basketball in the state of Pennsylvania. We'll be giving you updates on every game that's happened, or most games that's happened in the past couple weeks, and then also some previews of what games to watch out for. So stay tuned for more. Up first, we have a really big showcase that happened this past Sunday, the Maggie Lucas Play-by-Play Classic. There were about 18 teams that played in that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Mike?
Yeah, a lot of talented teams, a lot of local teams. We're back at Jefferson University this week. I was, fortunate to watch a lot of them. Unfortunately, when we played, we were handed a 15-point loss to Sanford out of Delaware. But there was a lot of really good games, and it was nice to see a lot of the local talent playing on a big showcase like that for fans to come out and watch. I know early on I got to see Basil's and Carroll. As soon as I walked in the gym, that was the first game I got to see. One Carroll team fighting to be in the top of the Catholic League this year. Basil's the same thing in the Catholic Academies League. It was a back-and-forth game, tie game. I remember Casey Romaldi hit a big three to go up 3 late. And then they got a big steal from her sister, Cheryl Romaldi, to take a 5-point lead, and Carroll couldn't get over the hump late in the game there. But it was a back-and-forth game. It was a lot of fun to see. I also know Joe was at the showcase to see some games as well.
Right.
And he saw some talent. But, we had that game that Basil's won. Basil's has a nice freshman, Danae Carter, who's coming on strong. She's playing really well. She's defending. She's working on the outside shot to be more consistent. Explodes to the rim. And just a really great kid. Kelly Grant for St. Basil's played really well. And again, I mentioned the Romaldi sisters who do a lot of things well for them on both ends of the floor. On Carroll's side, Maui Mashi Antonio, I'm sorry, Maui, if you're out there watching and I mess up your name, but Maui Mashi Antonio is really playing at a high level for them, can handle, can really shoot it, she can create her own shot, she's under control. She played well. I'll touch on their game in the Catholic League as well later, but she was playing well for them. They're still trying to figure out their chemistry with a lot of new players, but it was nice to see that game. I'm going to let Joe talk about the Souderton-Newman Goretti game, which is a big matchup that day.
Yeah, actually, Souderton's playing some really good basketball right now, especially in the Suburban 1 League, but they came up with a really huge win beating Newman Goretti 48-28. Megan Walbrandt, she was the game MVP. She scored 10 points. Alana Cardona scored 10 points. To beat Newman Goretti, who's beaten Wood and some other nice teams. Cardinal O'Hara, I believe they beat, right?
Newman Goretti just beat Wood, us on Tuesday, with O'Hara Thursday, and then to face Souderton on Sunday.
And Souderton beat him by 20 points, so that's saying something. Then you had another fine performance by Archbishop Ryan. Ryan was down by 7 points, 40-33, going into the fourth quarter, and came back and beat a good Perkiomen Valley team 51-48. Then you had Council Rock North. Council Rock North is playing some very good basketball right now. They played Springside Chestnut Hill from the Interact League. Becca Margolis scored 26 points. She's been scoring a lot of points for North lately, and she scored 26 in that game. And a name from the past you may remember from Little League Baseball, Monet Davis, scored 11 points in that game for Springside Chestnut Hill. Another big game was Neshaminy. Neshaminy is playing really well right now. They knocked off North Penn 44-41. That win gave Joe Lally his 100th win at Neshaminy. And Kristen Curley and her, Becca McGoles, they're all very, very fine soccer players in the Suburban 1 League. Apparently that translates onto the basketball court because they've been doing really well. Yeah. And so those were some of the highlight games. You had Upper Dublin, which last time we met talked about their defense. They played Imhotep from the Public League and held them to 29 points. Imhotep's a high-scoring team, and Upper Dublin beat them 41-29.
Yeah, speaking of that, in Neshaminy, again, I've been fortunate to coach a lot of their kids, and I think Neshaminy, what they have is a really good core with only one senior. They're young still. They're getting experience. I expect them to make a run. Right now, they beat the second place and the third place team right now in their standings in Abington and Council Rock North. 2 big wins. So they're playing strong. They got a nice win that Sunday in a showcase, but expect them to only get better as the season progresses because they play well together. They move the ball. Brooke Mullen, as we mentioned last week, she's got Division I interest from coaches. Kristen Curley's playing really well, running the offense for them. They got Emily Tantella, who can shoot and spread the floor. Olivia Scotti, who can shoot and spread the floor. It's just a bunch of players who can really do what they do. Allie Harvey really spreads the floor. So they attack, they get kickouts, and they have 5 kids on the perimeter who can shoot it all the time. So I expect them to make a run. Going from Coach Lally, who got his 100th win, we go back to Notre Dame Academy, who quite honestly put a beating on Mount St. Joseph's. They got on them early, and Mount couldn't recover. But Coach Mary Beth McNichol got her 500th win.
Wow.
Which is just to coach 500 games nowadays is tremendous to do. She's a class act, and it was nice to see her get her 500th win. One other win, I think CB West has been having a tough time with some of the tougher games that they've seen this week. They played a Garnet Valley team who's right now at number 5 in Penn Live's 6A rankings for Pennsylvania. It was a back-and-forth game. They took the lead. Maddie Burke got hot early. I think that's what gave CB West a nice little boost that they've been looking for. And they got a nice win over Garnet Valley on Sunday as well.
You know, one thing about that tournament, just the sheer size of it, there was 18 games? 18 games on Sunday.
18.
You know, that's just incredible. And the pacing and the timing it takes to put into, make sure everything goes off on time, and, to see so much basketball talent is just tremendous.
I'm sure the kids playing in the tournament loved it. I'm sure they all looked forward to it. It's just this huge, long day of just basketball. I mean,
it's a great environment for the kids, great environment for fans of basketball that just want to see, the high school level. They can come and watch multiple games all day, especially the young kids. I like when I see the young kids in the crowd, the grade school kids that come and just watch games just to see basketball. That's really what it's about. It's about the kids, learning, improving, and giving them a good environment to have fun with.
yeah.
Did they use 2 courts for that?
Two courts, same gym. One big court here with bleachers on one side facing that court, and the other side would have benches, and then bleachers that face the opposite court on the other side that kind of back the benches.
So kind of like a AAU style setup of just one big tournament.
A little bit better than the AAU setup. There's not 8 courts right next to each other,
Right.
and the bleachers provide almost like a wall feel.
Right.
It's just 2 separate. It feels like 2 separate gyms, even though it's the same room.
Understandable.
It's just incredible. and Jeremy Treatman put that together, and what a credit to him to be able to get so much talent and so many great teams into one venue for one day.
Yeah, for years he's been doing it on the boys' side, and the last so many years, they've really developed the girls' side too. And every year you see top teams from the area playing in it. I think it's important. He gets a lot of local teams from our area to play in the tournament too. So
do you see a lot more teams wanting to get involved in showcases like that?
Well, you almost have to if you have players that are going to look to play in college. You need the exposure. It's hard for college coaches to get there during the week with their schedules. So that you never know when they have to practice because of classes, or they have games of their own. So you have a Sunday showcase. They typically play on Saturdays. I know some conferences have moved to both, but they have a coach that can get out there and again they can watch 10 games, 18 games in this case during the day. What better way to see talent? And they're on 1 or 2 courts, whereas an AAU tournament might have 25 courts, and it's hard to go from one court to the next and see. So you can sit there all day, and you never know what kind of gem you're going to find as a college coach.
So is there a lot of coaches from the college ranks there representing?
There's a lot of college coaches there. I know I've seen Chestnut Hill, the CACC local schools are there. Drexel's typically out there. There was more the week before, but there was a lot there again this Sunday.
I'm sure that's amazing for the kids too. Like I said a little bit earlier, it's similar to AAU, but like you said, a little bit better. But just to be in that environment. And, you know, I used to play basketball too, going like you always want to play your best, knowing that there's college coaches out there for you to continue on after high school.
Yeah, certainly. I think the hardest part is that you want to showcase yourself, but you have to play within the theme of what your coach wants, your team wants. And oftentimes, if you just do that, you tend to play more naturally and you look better, in my opinion, to the college coaches.
Right.
Where if you're trying to do things that you're not used to doing, you know. But it's hard for kids. That's the important part of giving them the experience to do that, so they can learn from it and get better from it. So each time they have to play in a showcase or an AAU tournament, you know, they're more prepared.
That's got to be a thrill for the kids too. That you know, you walk into the gym and you might see Doyne Staley there, or you know, I know as an old man, I you know, if I see you know, Jay Wright, you know, in the gym, I'm thinking, wow, you know, it's pretty, you know, this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You know.
Or Maggie Lucas, you know, the name on the tournament. She was there. She was there for most of the games, if not all of them. I know my 6-year-old niece was there. She was happy to take a picture with her. Maggie's in the WNBA now, so
wow.
Another exciting thing, and it's nice for these girls to have a role model like Maggie to look up to, and have her be there too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things because, you know, I feel like a lot of times it's all about boys basketball and the NBA, and sometimes girls basketball goes unnoticed, and you know, people don't really want to watch or pay attention to it, even at the college level. So, you know, to see Maggie just coming and, you know, hosting this huge showcase is amazing. Like, I'd seen her play in the WNBA, and just myself, like, me and her are probably the same age. Like, she's amazing. Her and my best friend actually played on the same team. So,
Okay.
you know, I've met her personally, and she's a great person. So, you know, it's always good to have people give and come back and do things like this.
Very important. I think the girls' game is growing, and it will continue to grow.
Yeah, it's evolving. You can see it.
Yeah.
So, moving on, District 12, the Catholic League. I know you guys talked about Newman Grady already. They've had so many big games recently, and had a tough schedule. So, what more, you know, can we expect from them, or you know what?
Yeah, Newman Grady, they're 6-4 right now, but you can kind of throw that record away as far as the losses go. They're big-time teams that they've played and lost to. You know, they came back. They're 3-0 in the Catholic League, as far as I know. I know they beat us, O'Hara, and they just beat Prendy on Tuesday by 3. Okay, so every team in the Catholic League right now is competing. Carroll and O'Hara had a 3-point game. Carroll was up 7 late in the game. O'Hara came back and won that game. I think it's an open Catholic League this year. Goretti's certainly the front runner again after beating both O'Hara and us in the same week. Unfortunately, they ran into a Soderton team that was just ready on Sunday, but you know, they're only getting battle tested for the games that matter in February and March. Jabria Ingram right now is playing, you know, I would like to say out of her mind, but she's been good for the last 3 years. She's just playing at an extremely high level. She's at 29, 25 in another game. So she's just taking on that leadership role now with other players they've lost to graduation. The ball's in her hands 90% of the game, and she really knows what to do with it. She attacks the rim. She can shoot it from the outside. She's really improved that area, and she's strong. She goes in. She's going to go to Hartford next year to play. But she's strong. She goes to the basket. She's not off balance. She gathers herself and finishes. And then they have Tatiana Jones, who's at Norristown. She was at Imhotep, and now she's at Newman Grady for the last 2 years. She can rebound the ball. She's athletic. She runs the floor, and she has great size. So she attacks rebounders. You really have to make sure you're physical and tough with her. And then there are other players around her who really play well. And they just get after you. They're not afraid of anybody. So they play hard all the time, and that you have to beat them. They're not going to just beat themselves.
What do you think it is about Newman Grady that makes them this big powerhouse every year?
They have really good players.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, they have really good players. Again, they play really hard. They're confident. They're a confident group. They play an up-tempo style, and a lot of the Catholic League teams don't play that up-tempo. So it's a different game than you're used to throughout the season. You play so many games during the season in the Catholic League, then all of a sudden you play them, and it's like you got to get back a little bit faster. You have to rebound a little bit harder, You have to be a little bit smarter. So they make you play at your highest level if you want to beat them. And again, they have really good players, and Coach Peterson puts them in a really good system for them, and it's just that combination just makes them hard to stop.
And then District 12 on the public league side, I know you watched Alany and Northeast play yesterday. How'd that game go?
That was for a to move up in the Liberty division, which is right below the top division. Alany's undefeated in the league. They're 5-0. They're 8-0 overall, and they were playing Northeast, and Northeast has been having a halfway decent season. They came into the game with a 4-2 record. It was interesting because the heater at Alany High School went out, so they had to play at Cardinal Doherty. So if those of you who remember, Mike went to Doherty, and they used to have a fan section called the Looney Bin. So if you went into a game at Doherty, you were in for a tough time from the fans. But unfortunately, it was just like elementary school kids sitting there yesterday. But it was a good game in the first half. Alany went out to an early lead, and Northeast came back at halftime. Second half, Alany looked like they were going to get shut out in the second quarter, but they made it 13-12 at halftime. Northeast nearly got shut out in the third quarter, and they were outscored 23-2 in the third quarter. Now the difference was a young lady named Alexis Tyndall. Alexis didn't start the game; she had some problems in the classroom, and so she came into the second half, nailed 3 threes right off the bat. She ended up with 4 threes in the third quarter, and she turned that game right around for them. She ended up with game high 15 points. Unfortunately, she got ill during the fourth quarter, and so she had to sit down. But she was just a big spark for them. Alany is a very good team, and so I expect to see that they'll do pretty well in the public league playoffs.
Cardinal Doherty's the shooters, Jim. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah. And there's another young lady for them, Ebony Bradford. Ebony is one of those strong-bodied young ladies that she's a sure rebounder, and she just clogged up the middle for them. I saw her block 3 shots, and she finished with she got them off to a great start. She scored 7 of her 9 points in the first quarter. So I talked to the coach after the game, and they're young. They've only got like 1 or 2 seniors, and so he's building for the future. But Alany's a team that's probably going to be heard from. I mentioned Imhotep. Imhotep right now is in first place in the Independence Division in the public league. They play a high quality schedule. They're 6-0 in their division right now. Mastery Charter North is right behind them, and their only loss in the league was to Imhotep. Then in the Liberty division, Prep Charter is a team that's been hanging around and looking for that breakthrough season. And right now they're 6-0 in the division, and they look like they're going to be right in there at the end. Mastery Charter South is another one that's undefeated right now. Alany, as I mentioned, in Northeast. Dobbins is in the National Division. They're battling with Math, Civics, and Science and Girls High right now for the top spot in that division. South Philly and Sankofa, along with Motivation, they're 4-1. So that division's real tight right now. And Sankofa is interesting because when we talk about District 1, in Single A, there's a District 1-12 sub-regional. There's going to be 6 qualifiers. 2 of them are from the public league. And Sankofa is one of those teams. So they got as far as the district championship game last year at Cheltenham, and they ended up losing. But they're pretty good. American Conference, we have Parkway Northwest is the second Single A team that's in that sub-regional. Right now they're 6-1 in the division. Paul Robeson Mastbaum, which was in our bottom division just 2 years ago. They're undefeated in that division. And West Philadelphia is kind of slipping a little bit, but they've been up there. And Edison, which didn't win a game last year, is 6-0. So they're in the Colonial Conference. And
what's the difference with their team from last year to this year?
they're healthy. I talked to their coach, Sarah Roney, and they have one big girl in the middle, and they had a lot of injuries last year, and a lot of those kids are back, and so now they've turned it around. But the problem is in the public league, the bottom two teams from each division move down a division, and the top ones move up a division. So when you're able to move up, usually it's because you've had a lot of seniors and you've had a good year, and then those seniors graduate, and you're in the next highest division. And
it's a
sometimes
completely
you get
different team.
sometimes like that's happening to engineering and science this year. I think they won the Liberty division last year. They haven't won a game yet in the Independence against Imhotep and Mastery North. So that's a little bit of what's going on in the public league. One interesting note is for the past few years, the public league had their championships at Temple, and then the last 2 years we moved to St. Joseph's University. This year, for the first time in I believe 22 years, the public league's having their championship at the Palestra, and it's going to be the day right before the Catholic League championship. So that's going to be real exciting. And another thing,
there's nowhere better. There's nowhere better.
And there's going to be a true city championship game this year. We had what we called city title games. If you were a 5A champion from the Catholic League, you played the 5A champion from the Public League, and that was called a city title game. Now the overall Catholic League champion is going to play the overall Public League champion for a...
Is that just in boys?
Boys and girls. Didn't know about that, did you?
Didn't know. The first I'm hearing that. Yeah.
Learn something new every
and actually,
day.
I heard that from your athletic director.
I would. Is that for this year or next year? Maybe?
This year.
Okay, great.
And the games are going to be at Archbishop Ryan.
Archbishop Ryan.
On March.
Hopefully in their boys'
March
gym.
3rd. Put it in your calendar.
March 3rd. I have it in. That's exciting. I think the state needs to look into doing something like that. Instead, they've made 6 classes. I'd like them to make it one champion,
one overall, yeah.
One state champion. I mean, we're not giving participation trophies out. Let's just make it one championship.
I agree with that.
New Jersey does that.
Right.
New Jersey has the tournament of champions.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's great. So you can do this classification, then give another one after that. I want to play for it all.
But both of us, having grown up in the Catholic League, back in the day when every sport had a city champion, that was a big deal. And then when they came into the classifications, it kind of got watered down. Right. And
I like the idea to just have one winner for the entire area. I mean, I feel like
ultimately, isn't that what all there is?
Right, exactly.
You win,
the same thing like the NBA.
Winner.
Like, it's going to be one NBA final team. Like, they should do that for every state. I feel like it would make it, more competitive. The girls will want to play harder. Like, this is the ultimate goal at the end of the season.
Right. Well, there's a lot of talk about balance, especially between public and Catholic in the state. And I understand the arguments and where they come from. But at the same time, you're playing for a championship. It's supposed to be hard to win. Pick a winner. Make it a winner and call it a day.
Yeah.
Whoever has the best team will
win. The best thing to do is to decide it on the court.
Right. I'm not about...
And that's the same thing with, like, NCAA. Like, on the women's side, women's basketball, no matter who you are, as long as it's Division I, like, anybody could win. You see, UConn got knocked off because it's anybody's game at the end of the day. So, same thing for high school. I agree with this.
Power conferences have... Yeah, I'm with it. Let's start a petition and get it moving. I think, short story, I grew up with a mom who used to throw trophies away. She coached, they won second place or something. She had a team party after, I forget what it was. It might have been softball, might have been basketball, might have been youth, like 7th or 8th grade, I don't know. But they came over for the team party and the second place trophy was in the trash cans. You threw a trophy? The mindset was, you didn't win anything, you came in second.
Right.
First place and the first loser.
Yeah, so exactly. I think that's where it comes from for me. You win or you lose. And somebody has to lose.
Being overall competitive. That's just, what the whole game is about. Exactly. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into some more basketball.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have spent 3 days with one of the most insane program, okay, I have witnessed in my 17-year career. It excites me, the presence of point blank period, of Coach Dooley, of Coach Fowler, of the people that he works out with, that he trains with, okay? It's exciting. And you have had the luxury of spending 3 awesome days with these people. I watched Coach Fowler play. Mr. Coach, you watch Coach Fowler play? He is one of the most annoying basketball players you will ever see in your life. Okay? Because exactly what he trains, exactly what he preaches to you, he does at all times. This is real habit. This is not a gimmick. This is real basketball. Real basketball. Something that he has found success with. He has spread the word.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Nicki Jones, alongside Joe Fite and Mike McDonald, talking about high school girls basketball. And the next district we're going to talk about is District 1. And Joe is going to give us more updates and information about that.
Well, I was looking at the Suburban 1 League, and a few games stood out that I wanted to talk about. One we've already mentioned is the Neshaminy win over North Penn, where Joe Lally won his 100th game. And, Kristen Curley scored 19 points in that game. She scored 11 in the first quarter. And Neshaminy's won 5 straight games, so they're playing at a high level right now. Central Bucks East is playing really well. They've won 4 straight. Their last game, they beat Council Rock South 71-39. Bailey McManus scored 18 points in that game. That was a non-league game on Wednesday. And Central Bucks South had started the game with 13 straight wins. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And CB East knocked them off and stopped that streak, beating them 49-37, which is a pretty impressive win. Sophia Mancuso scored 20 points. She had 3 threes, and she had 3 block shots in that game for East. North Penn, they're young this year, and they're 4-6 right now. After Joe Lally beat them, 44-41, he told his girls that's the best 4-6 team you're ever going to see. Maggie DeMartelier, who has coached North Penn for quite a while, and Lansdale Catholic before that, he said that she was pulling every trick in her bag out, trying to win the game, and didn't quite get there. But as long as Maggie's coaching that team, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Suburban 1 standings. Neshaminy went through the first half of their season undefeated. They're 6-0 in the league, and Council Rock North, which Becca Margolis I mentioned earlier, she's just scoring, lights out right now. Their only loss was to Neshaminy, so they're 5-1 in the division. Abington is right there; they're 4-2, and expect. Those 3 really to battle it out for that Suburban 1 National Conference title.
Yeah, Abington's 2 losses are to North and Neshaminy. So it's only the other 2 teams above them.
So they're like beating each other up, which is that is helpful at the end of the season. Your record might not look that great, but you're battle tested. In the Continental Division, where all the Central Bucks schools are, and all the Central Bucks schools are talented. Central Bucks South, as we just mentioned, started out the season with 13 straight wins. So they're 13-1, losing to East. East is at 4-2, 11-4 overall, and CB West is 4-2. So those three schools are going to be right there, and then you've got Souderton. Souderton's got some outstanding talent, and they're 4-1 in the conference right now, and they're 11-2 overall. That impressive win they had in the play-by-play classic over Newman Goretti.
I think that can give you momentum to kind of continue winning to make a run later in the season. When we've had success in the last couple of years of winning championships, we go back and we look at certain games where we're playing okay, but you get a big win that kind of says, okay, we're legit. I think that win for Souderton, if they're losing two pretty early, one is CB South, who's obviously talented, but Souderton now, I think that could be the confidence boost that they needed to kind of step it up to another level where they could run and not lose another game in their league, if they continue to play that way.
Yeah.
They certainly have the talent and the pieces.
I think it's important to have those games that, let the girls know that, you are this good. Because sometimes when you're young, you don't know your potential yet. Even when you get to college and you're a freshman and sophomore, it still takes time for you to realize that. But, winning games that, for teams that are powerhouses or teams that may be better than you, to beat them, makes these girls realize, like, hey, we are a good team.
Right.
And if you got a team with tradition like Wood and other teams like that, you've got a core of players who are leaders on that team. And they bring those younger players along with the traditions and the expectations and all those things. And, if they tell you, okay, we beat Souderton, that's a big deal, it's really coming from their heart, and that really is big for them. So your core players are really important for building that.
Right, and I think that rematch is tomorrow night for CB South and Souderton. So we'll see if I'm right. It should be a good game. If we didn't have our own game, maybe I'd head out there and just to watch it and see the talent. But again, I think Souderton, they have size in Cardona, Connolly, and even Walbrandt is an athletic kind of wing defender, but still has size. And then they have quick guards too who can defend perimeter players. They stay healthy. Again, they have all the pieces. I think that's what gave Goretti fits, was that they had the size to match up with them. Goretti would go to the basket. They could go straight up and make them tough shots over top of them. They have perimeter players who can shoot, but they can attack the basket as well. So they have a little bit of everything. If they can stay healthy and stay with the right mindset, I wouldn't be surprised if they ran the table the rest of the way.
Does Souderton have one of those offenses where they're kind of they slow things down, or do they run the ball?
They attacked when the opportunity presented itself against Goretti. That's the first time I saw them live this year. I watched them play last year. But I think they run a couple sets here and there. But other than that, they look to spread the floor. A couple kids drive. They look to go down low when they have a mismatch. Again, they have a couple kids who can post up hard. So they draw help that way, and then they can kick out to shooters. I think the kid Cardona, IUP, who's very good, Division II level. I think they got a steal in this kid. Just tough, uses her body well around the basket, attacks rebounds. But also, I watched her the other day. She was hitting jump shots from 15 feet, step back off the dribble. I think she's getting better and more confident, but I think she's really leading the way right now.
I've seen that a lot over the years where a suburban team will drive a city team nuts. City teams want to run the ball up and down the floor. Suburban teams will take 10 passes, cut inside, throw it back out, and it just drives them crazy.
And that's how it was, like my high school. I'm not from, Philly, but I'm from upstate New York. I went to a all-girls Catholic school, and when we would play those city schools, it's two completely different teams. Sure. Like, we ran our plays. This is what it was. The city teams, they didn't want to play defense. They want to get the rebound, want to go up the court. So it's interesting to see that that's the same thing, even though, we're in a completely different city and state. And
that's why for us it's nice to go to big-time showcases where you play different teams of different talents and different strategies, because then you're prepared for anything when you get down to playoffs and states. You're prepared for any different way they're going to come at you, especially, like I mentioned earlier, when you have to play Goretti. We want to go play teams like Goretti before we actually get to that game, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I always encourage public league teams, since I'm the commissioner of the public league, I encourage them to schedule teams like, Plymouth White Marsh and those suburban teams, because once they get out of districts and into states, they're going to see that type of basketball, and they're not used to seeing that all year. Mm-hmm. So that can only help them when they get to a higher level. Now the American Conference in the Suburban One, Plymouth Whitemarsh, undefeated in the league. They're 7-0. They got 12-1 overall. Upper Dublin we've mentioned with their great defense. They're 6-1, and Wissahickon overall they're 5-6, but they've got a 5-2 record in the league. So maybe there'll be a factor there at the end. So that's Suburban 1. We have the District 1 power rankings, which teams start to look at probably around this time to see where they stand for the postseason. And so single A teams in District 1, they're in a sub-regional with District 12. 4 teams from District 1 will make it. 2 from the public league will also make it. You got Jenkintown. They're 12-0. Jim Romano had a big milestone win earlier this year, and I'm not sure, was it 500 wins for him?
500 or 300, I forget.
It was a big 100.
I'd be
number.
guessing, but it was a big 100. It was more than 100.
Jim Romano's been around as long as me.
It was
a
3 or
long
5.
time, but so you've got Jenkintown's number 2. Girard College is up there. They haven't played a lot of games. They've only played 8 games. TCA, the Christian Academy, and Friends Select. In 2A, 4 teams are going to go to the playoffs, and one of those will go into states. So you've got Sacred Heart from the Interact League, Delco Christian, Calvary Christian, and Bristol. Some of these schools don't have very good overall records, but anything can happen when you get to the district playoffs when there's not that many teams involved. 4A, I'm sorry, we missed 3A, but 3A, I seem to be missing that. But anyway, we'll go, here we go, yeah. 3A, North Schuylkill from District 11 must be in a sub-regional with District 1. They're 10-1, and I was going to mention them when I talk about District 11, but North Schuylkill's right there. St. Basil's is not too far behind. They're 8-4. New Hope Soulbury is having a very good year this year, and Notre Dame Grepon is in that mix too. So 4A, that could be interesting because you've got Lower Moreland is 10-3. Gwynedd Mercy, which had a rough start to the season. I'm not sure how they've been doing lately, but I'm sure Tom Lonergan will get them straightened out at some point.
They just picked up a nice win over Mount St. Joe's, who I think beat them earlier in the season, and
Right.
Mount also got a nice win over St. Basil's earlier in the season. So they're picking it up. They're up and down as they will be because they have so many young kids playing right now.
So you got Gwynedd Mercy to 7-6. 4 teams are going to qualify for the playoffs from that division. Right now, the number 4 seed is Villa Joseph Marie at 3-8. So, the Villa's struggling a little bit. But
And so for what do you have, 5 and 6 left?
Mhm.
Just for the sake of time, we're gonna go over the top 2
okay.
for the power rankings for that, so we can get to District 11 next.
All right. So 5A, we've got Westchester Henderson and Villa Maria Academy from the Catholic Academies League. And in 6A, Springford from the Pioneer Conference, they're 12-0, and Central Bucks South, in spite of their loss to CB East, they're 13-1. They're number 2, and Souderton's right behind there at 11-2. They're number 3.
All right, so on to District 11. Really quick, we have Easton, or had Easton and Parkland, who played recently. What can you tell us about that game?
Well, Easton graduated 6 seniors, and they've come back to post a 9-2 record. They played Crestwood, and they were down 4 points with 21 seconds left in that game. Girl named Hannah Dorner converted 2 technical. There was a tee called on Crestwood with 21 seconds left. She converted both free throws and then came back with a 3-pointer to win the game. So they ended up winning the game, late. Dorner's got 23 3-pointers this year. And Easton overall had 149 threes last year, and they're on a pace to come close to that this year. So in spite of graduating 6 seniors, Easton's right up there. Parkland, which is always a good program up in, they're right above Allentown. They lost their entire backcourt. And right now they're 6-4, but they're leading their division. And they've got 2 returning seniors, Kelly Koval and Julia Buckman. They have another young lady, Shelby Stabes. She's averaging, or she scored 26 points in their last game. And another girl on their team, Claire Corder, has scored in double figures in 6 of their 10 games. So Parkland and Easton, look for them to be factors in the 6A up in District 11.
And as for the rest of District 11, you have some power rankings. We can go over the top 2 from each if you have them.
Okay. So I would say right now we couldn't get the power rankings for 6A for District 11. I believe Easton, Parkland, Bethlehem Freedom are right up there. In fact, Bethlehem Freedom's won 8 of their last 9 games since they lost their opener. In Single A, you've got Susquehanna Community and Salem Christian. 2A, you've got Minersville. Minersville is a little burg outside of Pottsville, and they have a good basketball team year in and year out.
Undefeated last year, right?
I think they were, and I see them every year down in South Philly High School during the district playoffs, District 12 playoffs, scouting, because generally a team from District 12 ends up playing Minersville. West Catholic played them one year, and so Minersville is at the top. Montanoy area and Marion Catholic are right behind them. In 4A, you've got Bethlehem Catholic and Lehighton. In 5A, you've got Southern Lehigh, which is having a really good season. They've got a young lady named Olivia Snyder. She scored 23 points the other night against Northern Lehigh. That gave her 1,000th career point. And they're 9-2. So, or actually, they're 11-2. Pottsville is right behind them. So that's the power rankings for District 11.
All right. So District 3, really quick, we're going to go over, talk about the junior Kiki Jefferson.
Yeah, Kiki Jefferson, who I finally got to see in person. I've read a lot about her, all over social media. I've heard about her. She plays for the Philadelphia Bells in this area. She's got 1,500 points as a junior right now, 1,500 plus some as a junior. She's got, I think she's about 140 away from getting the Lancaster Catholic school record for scoring, still with a year and a half left to play in her career. And I forget where she is in the area itself, but just a phenomenal player. She's got great size, athleticism. I think she's about 6 foot. I could be wrong. I'm bad with size, but she's tall. She's got a strong build, but athletic, can handle the ball, can shoot the ball. She played, might have been Upper Dublin last week, not this past Sunday, but the week before in the showcase. That's where I saw her play, and she could really attack the basket herself, but she played unselfishly, and as she should. There's another girl, Lauren Mills from Lancaster Catholic, who just scored 1,000 points in her career, but it just very impressed with Kiki Jefferson. Was always positive with her teammates from what you could see, shooting, scoring. I know she's got a bunch of Division I scholarship offers, in this area, in different areas. I'd expect them to continue to pile in for her. Lancaster Catholic right now is in first place out of Section 3 in District 3, Section 3, District 3, in the LL they call it. And Kiki Jefferson's obviously a big reason for that, as is Lauren Mills on her team. Then in Section 2, LS, as they call it out there for the outsiders, it's Lampeter, Strasburg. They are right now 7-0 in their league, okay, and they're leading Section 2 for District 3. And Manheim Township is 7-0 in their league. They're 12-1 now. They just lost their first game in a long time, but they're in first place out of Section 1 in District 3. Another player in summer research, Jeff Reinhardt, who he works for Lancaster Online, Lancaster paper out there, did a nice article on Summer Reeser, who plays for the Comets out of Delaware County and Pennsylvania AAU organization, but she's averaging 19 points a game. She's got 37 threes. She plays for Pacao Valley in District 3. They're in the middle of the pack in their section right now, but keep an eye on her. She's a 10th grader right now, averaging 19 points a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, it's always good to see. I like to see the younger girls, do what they need to do to, keep coming up and just be this showstopper, basically. And they're so young. Like, you look back and think what we were doing at that age.
Right.
So it's like,
right.
Once you, make it relevant to, someone that that's that same age is doing that, that's a really great thing to see.
I don't know her personally, but I'm sure she works really hard. If you're putting up those kind of numbers, I'm sure she works hard.
Yeah.
From what I read, she's always being face guarded. So to continue putting up those numbers while you're being face guarded is hard to do.
That was me in high school. It's not fun to be face guarded. It's
no.
the most frustrating thing in the world.
It's unnatural. It's
yes,
unnatural.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of the point.
But even, just to see the younger players do things like that, it's good to show the even younger players that, this is possible. If I work hard and I'm dedicated, then I can do the same thing.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So District 2, the last district that we're going over, I know you have some more power rankings for us, the top two
Well, at the
teams.
top of the single A rankings is Susquehanna. They're 7-3. 2A, you've got Old Forge, which is up near Wilkes-Barre. In 3A, you've got three teams at 11-1. You got Holy Redeemer, Dunmore, and Holy Cross. In 4A, you've got Nanticoke, which is 10-1. They're number 1. Wyoming area and Scranton Prep, and Dallas is right behind them. In 5A, you've got Crestwood, which is right ahead of Wallenpaupack and Abington Heights. And in 6A, you've got Hazleton, Scranton, and those are the two top teams in 6A in District 2. District 2 is Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area.
All right, so all the basketball that has happened in the past week or so. When we come back from break, we're gonna get into the upcoming games and games that you guys should be watching out for. All right, welcome back. Before we go, we're going to go over a couple of the upcoming games as planned. The Hoops for Hope Classic this Sunday at the University of Sciences gym will be happening. What more can our viewers know about that?
Another local showcase down at the University of Sciences, where there's going to be this time not 18 games this time. It is 6 games. Okay, so and they're all before the Eagles play. So if you're looking to watch the Eagles, you can get down there. They moved some of the games up. Not our game, but they moved some of the games up. If you want to see CB South, we talked a lot about them tonight, based on what they're doing this season. They're going to play St. Basil's, so that's a nice matchup. Should be a good game. That's at 8:30 in the morning, so you have to get there early. But you get down there, you can start your day with them. Penn Charter is going to play Mount St. Joe's. It should be a pretty even matchup. One out of the Academies League, the other in the Interact. So we'll see how that game goes. Penn Charter is young. They're led by 2 sophomores, I believe, in Lizzie McLaughlin and Caitlin Carter. So it's interesting to watch them grow. Should be a good game there. Haverford and Friend Central. Haverford, Lauren Pelican, who's the longtime Lower Merion coach, is now coaching again at Haverford. They just got a nice big win over Springfield Delco. So she's trying to grow that program again over there. Then at 1 o'clock, you have Gwen and Mercy Academy versus Carroll. Catholic League versus Catholic Academies game. Should be a lot of coaching involved in that game, with Renee Shields coaching Carroll and Tom Lonergan at Gwen and Mercy. A lot of movement, a lot of screens, a lot of slips, things like that. Good basketball. Archbishop Ryan will play York Catholic. It'll give me the opportunity to see a District 3 team live in person in York Catholic. I think they're District 3.
Yeah,
York Catholic, yes. And then Ryan right now is 15-0. I think the question mark is who's they're playing outside. So we'll see what they do against York Catholic. They had a nice win over Perk Valley, and they have a nice win over GA. They have a tough stretch in the Catholic League coming up for them, so it's they want to keep it moving. But they're 15-0 right now, playing very well. They have a nice core of kids that are back returning, and they're playing very well. So you can see them on Sunday at 2:30 versus York Catholic. And then I'm biased, so the big game is 4 o'clock. Archbishop Wood will be playing Garnet Valley.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Again, Garnet Valley as a Drexel commit. I'm at a loss for her name right now. I apologize to you. But Drexel commit and a lot of other good players playing for them right now. Again, they're the 5th ranked team in 6A. We'll be playing them at 4 o'clock as well.
And besides this, another showcase on Sunday, what other games are coming up?
So there's some big games tomorrow night. As we mentioned, Souderton's going to play CB South. That's a big national division, Suburban 1 League.
Yeah, that game's at South at 7 o'clock, and it's for first place in the conference, and it's also the first game of the second half of the Suburban 1 League. So it could set the tone there.
That's a big matchup. We're going to be playing O'Hara tomorrow night at O'Hara at 7 o'clock as well. So Wood versus O'Hara tomorrow night. That's always a big matchup for us. It's a huge test to see where we are in the league. And right now, because of the balance in the league, every win is important. Goretti's going to play Carroll tomorrow. Again, Carroll just battled O'Hara really well. Goretti had a battle with Prendy. So it's right now another big matchup for the Catholic League. We'll see if Goretti can continue their role and stay undefeated, or if Carroll can get over the hump and get a big win there. That game is at Goretti. It starts a little earlier than 7. I believe it's 6:30, but check the times. I think
there seems to be a lot of parity in the Catholic League this year. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the teams that were a little lower to the middle of the league are now stepping it up and competing in the games with the top teams. Prendy's playing pretty well, stepping it up. West Catholic is a little better than they were. West Catholic is still not getting over the hump of beating a lot of these teams, but they're right in those games where they were not in the games a lot last year. So I wouldn't want to see them in the playoffs as they start putting it together based on the way they're playing right now. Again, it's just a matter of time until they get over that hump. I don't want to be the team that lets them get over the hump.
Nobody wants to be that team.
Right, but it is pretty balanced. Lansdale Catholic has won, I think, 15 games in a row. That might be a high number, but they've won a lot of games in a row after losing some early on. Again, the Catholic League right now is bottom heavy as far as the scheduling goes, so a lot of the big matchups with the winning teams right now so far, they're going to face each other down the stretch at the end of January.
Should make for some interesting basketball.
Sounds good. More basketball. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back here every Thursday night, including next Thursday at 7 p.m. here on Facebook Live, to give you guys recaps on high school girls basketball, analysis, predictions, and anything else related to that. You can always watch our show In the Paint, if you download our podcast on iTunes and iTunes Store by searching the Sports Fan Base Network and listening to our download. Make sure you guys give us a 5-star rating. That's the most important thing, whether you listen or not. Don't miss our other shows, 3 in the Key on Monday night, On the Mat on Tuesday nights, and then our all-new show, Varsity Voice, on Wednesday nights. In the meantime, make sure you go to our website, www.thesfbn.com, to check out more high school sports information, including our broadcast schedule, and also watch In the Paint. We'll see you guys next Thursday.